I love the principle from physics, the Heisenberg principle, that the act of observing can change the phenomenon observed. And so I applaud all the folks here who have insisted that government agencies and your representative in the council focus on the issues here and try to bring to bear solutions to address some of these issues. There were a series of different issues, and we arranged for a meeting with the management company to underscore to them the importance of addressing those issues. I do think this meeting, I didn't know I was going to be on the bill, but then I saw the flyer and I was on the bill, and so I didn't want to have the meeting happen and people say, well, wait a minute, where was he? The meeting we had with the management company on some of the pest and vermin issues, there has been a change in that they've moved to a different company, the Oregon company, and they've moved to a couple of times a week with work on it in the common areas and inviting people to tell them about their unit. I would encourage you, if once they get going with that approach, if it seems like it's not making a meaningful difference, we need to know about it, we want to know about it, we want to help. On security issues, I also saw the notice that was sent around. They have added cameras in some different places. They don't want to say exactly where they are, but I think that, again, active observing has resulted in some action. Again, we need to focus on whether that's making the kind of difference that you're hoping it will make. There were also issues around the behavior of some of the tenants, which were frightening, and we pressed them on those things to make sure that they would be proactive in responding to those issues. They assured us that they were, and they were in different kinds of processes and would be. Again, we met with them once, we'll meet with them again. We hear you about all of the various issues that are out there, and we want to help you make a difference on those issues, so keep us apprised. This meeting today is a step in that process because there are different agencies that can help you. The Department of Buildings, to the extent, Carlos, you're talking about a building-wide issue around vermin and roaches. They're the kinds of folks who can help to identify that and to hold the landlord to an obligation to address those things. I think they will talk about that. The Office of Tenant Advocate, their job is to stand up for tenants all across the city. They're a great entity, and I think hopefully you can learn from them how they can help support your efforts. The whole thing is we are all trying to make a positive difference to improve the conditions here. We may not have solved every issue, but I do think we're turning the oil tanker. I do think we've gotten their attention. And part of what today is to hear more about the tools that you have in the toolbox to do that. I want to say, I'm going to stay and listen, but I think I want everybody here to give Ashlee a round of applause because Ashlee has been tenacious in trying to address these issues and make a difference for you all, and she will continue to do so. So one quick round of applause. And then with that, I'm going to...
And what to expect.
As you said, my name is Jason Williamson. I'm a liaison with of the director's office at the DC Department of Buildings. Specifically, I service Ward 3. Just to say that if you have any problems or issues in the ward, if there are any times that you don't understand some of our processes or if you're having difficulty getting through to anyone in the agency, I'm kind of the best point of contact.
A little louder, please.
Oh, sorry. No, it's okay. That's okay. I feel like I'm in a concert.
People are going to start.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm the liaison in the director's office, specifically for Ward 3. And again, which is to say that if you're having any issues either accessing any of our services or resources that DOB provides, or if you're having issues navigating any of our online processes or any of that, I'm a good point of contact. I can either facilitate those things for you or kind of point you in the right direction. I think the large part of my job is, I tell people all the time, I try to unstick sticky situations, prevent things that normally may, kind of fall through the cracks. And then also, my job is twofold. I'm an advocate for the public inside the agency, and then I also am, a mouthpiece of sorts, kind of communicating and educating some of DOB's, processes and what we're about to the public. So as Ashlee said, I don't know if you guys are aware that there's I think Councilmember Frumin mentioned it. We have scheduled, and again, you already gave Ashlee a round of applause, but she probably deserves another one because she pushed very hard for you guys to have a building-wide inspection, which is scheduled for this December. I can tell you that, so the building-wide inspection is also called a proactive inspection. And so every building with more than 5 units in the district undergoes proactive inspections. The frequency with which the Department of Buildings inspects those buildings is determined by the size of the building. So a building such as this one, which with several hundred units, may have a proactive inspection scheduled, say, once every 2 years. A smaller building where you may have 10 to 12 or 20 units, maybe their proactive inspections only occur every 5 years or so. And when Ashlee asked me to do some research and do some digging, we did find out that this building hadn't been inspected in more than a few years. And so she really pushed it, and I pushed, inside as well to have this building inspected. So
What's the exact date of the session?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know Ashlee, did Isaac tell you?
Oh, the date of the
The
inspection?
date of the
You should
inspection.
be receiving notifications
Yeah.
from management, but I believe it's December 2nd it starts.
Yeah.
It goes until February 26th.
Yeah, through
Probably,
January.
maybe longer.
Yeah, because this is such a large building.
441 units.
Yeah, it'll occur over the course of several weeks. The process generally will have, once DOB schedules the building-wide inspection, then we tell management, like, hey, we're gonna come, we're gonna inspect during these times. And then we also furnish for management, for them to disseminate to you all, consent form. And basically the consent form is saying, hey, I acknowledge that this inspection is occurring, and I give consent for the building management to let DOB into my unit, to inspect. Now, if you're home, then that's no problem. But people work during the day. They, on holiday, maybe you just out for a walk in the park. But when DOB inspectors come, then that would allow the management to let them into your unit to perform an inspection. So, yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I would
Yes.
like to know what would be the percentage of inspections of the buildings? How
Well,
many apartments?
So
What's
we
the percentage?
shoot for 100%. Obviously, we never
All
get
of the
that.
apartments?
Yeah, yes. So we are willing to inspect every single unit in the building, which is why it's scheduled for, multiple weeks from the beginning of December through February. That doesn't always occur, not for lack of trying. It's usually because either people don't give consent, or they give consent, but then when, people don't sign the consent paper, so that when DOB inspectors come, the building management isn't allowed to let us into their unit. There are people who may have misgivings about allowing someone into their unit when they're not there. And so there's sometimes that we come and we just don't have access. But our goal is to inspect every unit. That's the ultimate goal, right? Our stated goal is that we want to inspect at least 60% of the units in the building. But if you are willing to allow for us to come inspect, then we will do it. Yes, sir.
Just an ancillary question. Is it gonna be a 8 in the morning till 8 at night schedule? Or is it gonna be like an hour schedule?
No,
Per
it would be
unit.
during the daytime,
So
it would
we've gotta be home all day.
Yeah, so
Excuse me, are you referring to the schedule for your particular unit or the
Any
schedule
unit
for the
in this
whole
building.
day?
no, we would give you, it would kind of like, I hate to say it, I don't like, yeah, I don't want to say it, you know what I mean, because I hate it.
Well,
But
don't have
kinda
to
like
promise
Comcast.
anything, cause can you bring it down to 2-hour time frame per unit? So
Yeah.
I don't have to hang out all day waiting for it.
It's probably, if off the top of my head, I would say it was probably more like a 4-hour time frame between 10 in the morning and 2 p.m. And then you should know, because when we do the schedule, we say, okay, and this is just, hypothetically speaking, we're gonna do, floors 2, 3, and 4 on this particular, week or this particular day. We're gonna be doing these particular units. So you'll know the day. You may not know the exact time, but we do try to be considerate because we know that people, can't hang out all day.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, can we try to hold questions, let Jason explain the process, and then we'll take questions after, please, thank you.
So once we come to inspect, we're gonna inspect all the units, based upon the housing code. Ensure that, you have fire alarms, smoke detectors, hot water, there are no cracks in the foundation, no mold, etc. And then if you are home and you care to point something specific out to one of our inspectors, they will also observe those things. And if they are not, if they do not adhere to the housing code, or if there's an issue, then they will make a note and cite those things as well. So the gentleman here, talked about having, roaches or insects or vermin or rats or mice or whatever. If you do have evidence of those things and say, hey, here's a crack in my wall and the mice come in and out of here. If there's some if there's some evidence of that, then our inspectors will issue a citation. Now, once we issue the citation or a violation to the building, then depending upon the level of the citation, then they have between 30 to 60 days to fix that. And so because, let me back up and say that, for DOB, our purpose or our goal is to get building management or building owners to rectify whatever situation we, encounter. So if there's a problem with for example, hot water, then we just want them to fix the hot water so that you have a comfortable living arrangement. So we give them time to fix the issue. If it's something that's more egregious or something that we deem what's called a priority 1 violation, and that would be something like if you didn't have hot water, or if smoke detectors are considered priority 1. Priority 1 violations are those that are a threat to health and safety. Those are required to be abated within 24 to 48 hours. So we want those to be taken care of immediately. But for other things like, hey, my plaster, my drywall is cracked, or something's bad on my floor, or I can't even think there's the building code is kind of like the tax code. There's a million different things. For a lot of those things, we may give 30 days, we may give 60 days for them to abate those. But the biggest thing is that we've inspected, it's on our radar, and we are going to put pressure on the building or building management to fix it, to have that fixed. So once the citation is issued, or once we issue a citation, we ask that they fix it. If they don't fix it and provide evidence that they fixed it within a given time frame, then we forward that to the Office of Administrative Hearings to be adjudicated, and then the fine sticks. Our fines could be anywhere between $500 for something small and minuscule up into the thousands. And so you can imagine for a building with 800 some units, that could be pretty expensive. And so what we're hoping is that when we come, we inspect, we bring it to their attention, that they come and they will address it.
Can you mention what type of documentation they can provide to you that will satisfy the abatement?
They can provide, we do accept, photographic documentation. For some of the things, we can't, we won't accept, photographic documentation. For example, if you don't have any hot water, there's no way for them to show us that, based upon a picture. But if, you know, the inspector comes and you have, you know, cracks in your drywall and we say, hey, you gotta fix that, they can provide photographic documentation, say, hey, look, this is part unit 411, we fixed the drywall, and then they forward that to us, and then, you know, we'll cancel the fine. But for the most part, we're looking for them to fix whatever the issues are. Now, we have inspections, and then we also typically re-inspect. And so I come and I visit Ashlee's unit, which is unit 300. We notice that there are some issues. They say, oh yeah, well, we fixed these. Typically, DLB will come back, and this is in a few months' time, to re-inspect those, you know, to make sure that things have been fixed the way that they said they have. I also want to say that, and this is kind of outside of the building-wide inspection, with regard to the rodent issues and the issues with vector control, Department of Buildings frequently works with the Department of Health to do inspections and to help with rodent and vector control issues. Now, they do not typically inspect and cite inside of private property, but what happens is when they come along with DOB, they will come and they will inspect, not for the purpose of enforcement, but more for the purpose of identifying issues within the building that can be addressed. And so in the past, and I've worked with Ashlee and Nicole and the council member. In the past, we've gone to other buildings where we've worked cooperatively with the Tenants Association, with building management, with the Department of Health, to come in and inspect, again, not for the purpose of issuing fines or enforcement, but more to say, hey, here are the problems, these are the problems that you need to fix, and then evaluating the way that the building management is going about abating those. So for example, we recently visited another property. The Department of Health visited alongside the Department of Buildings, OTA, OAG, the council member's office, and the Department of Health was able to tour the building, identify problems with like vector control and rats and rodents or whatever. The property management gave them an outline of what they were doing to address it. And then the Department of Health was able to evaluate that and say, oh yeah, well, this is a good idea. This is the way that you should go about it, as the subject matter experts. Or they can say, alternatively, I don't think this is a good plan. I think, you should incorporate these other things into your plan to address the issues with the rodents or whatever. So that's something that, perhaps would work here in this situation. I haven't been to this building, so I don't really know the extent of the issues here, but certainly those will be identified, once we have the building-wide inspection. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if this should be directed to the owners of the building or to you, but the garage doors, they don't have OSHA chain guards.
Okay.
And the automatic garage doors, there's this big chain there, and there's OSHA requirements of how they're supposed to be installed and covered and everything, and they're not OSHA at all.
So,
is that something that the building inspectors would look at? Or
Yeah,
do
so-
I go to somebody else with that?
And related to that, some of these chains on the garage doors are open. There's no
Yeah.
guard on them. Some
Right.
kid's gonna put their fingers in there and get their
Exactly.
fingers chopped off.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what things she was referring to.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So those are things that, so when we do the building-wide inspection, and I failed to mention this, our inspectors inspect not only the apartment units, but they inspect all of the common areas. So that would include the garage, that would include any courtyard or space, that would include the perimeter of the building, if, there's reports of having rats, vermin, or vector, control problems, then they would inspect those too. And if they were a violation of the housing code, then they would receive citations for that and be ordered to fix those. That's a concern. That's a
Yeah, very
concerning thing.
concerning. There's a couple of things like that, so would I give you a heads up, email you and say before the
Certainly,
inspectors
certainly,
come,
certainly. If
this
there's,
is what issues that we feel that they should be looking at also, in addition to what they normally look at?
I would invite you to do so, because as you can imagine, a building of this size, even, we're gonna send, the reason why these inspections are difficult to schedule, particularly with larger buildings, is because we're taking, 5 or 7 or 10 inspectors to do just this property, which means that we have, 5 to 7 to 10 inspectors who aren't around the city, doing other inspections. But even with that amount of inspectors, they're gonna miss things, and so if there's something that you have that are of particular concern, I would, if you could communicate that to me, and then I'll communicate to our Office of Residential Inspections to make sure that that's something that they investigate.
Is there an email address, or how will we communicate that?
Yeah, I don't have a card, cause.
She can email me and I'll connect
Uh,
you.
Okay,
You can email me and I'll connect you.
Okay.
so A. Mercer at DC.
And I know you're
Yeah.
very responsive.
May I have a card?
Can I
Yes.
ask you a question?
Oh.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID,
Mhm.
the building, the city inspected the building and all the vertical risers in the plumbing were replaced. Was there ever a report done on the horizontal risers? And are they ever gonna be replaced? Because all these water issues that people are talking about, we all wonder, is it because there's some other plan to
Right.
finish the plumbing repair?
I wouldn't know off the top of my head about the horizontal risers, but that's something I can certainly, I can make note of and get you that information.
Or just the association?
Or just the association, I can certainly do that. Yes, ma'am?
I wanted to know, this building big, and I don't know if this is off topic, but sometimes on the 6th floor, the lights be like dull, like it's
Right.
dark in that hallway. And it's a lot of women in this building, especially they be coming downstairs, going to their garage, going to get their cars, stuff
Right.
like that. And sometimes I take my trash out. So, and I got sexual assault in here too.
Right.
So for me, I just moved here April the 2nd. So I got sexual assault April the 2nd in this building.
Yes.
So I wanted to know, and the person still live in this building too. And I wanted to know if they, and he live on the 3rd floor by the laundry room.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm getting into the details. But anyway, why they should have more lights in here, because first of all, they should have cameras, bump that cameras too.
Right.
Or every floor, this building is big as heck.
Right.
It's a 16th floor building. They should have cameras on the elevator. I don't know if you gotta pay for that, but if y'all could do something about that, because it's dangerous in here. It's not safe in here to me.
So that's kind of a two-part question, right? So one thing you're talking about, building safety, obviously, and with the, cameras and lighting and whatnot. And then the other part of it is the housing code, right? So the housing code stipulates that lighting in hallways and common areas have a certain level of brightness, right? Certain amount of lumens, right? For common areas, for hallways, for the common areas here, for any pathways outside or whatnot. So that is something that when our inspectors come, that they would note and that would be addressed. As far as you say the other part of building safety and the cameras and whatnot, there's nothing in the housing code that requires a building to have cameras. That would be more of a suggestive fit. And I'll give you an example, at another apartment building on Connecticut Avenue, they were having some of the same issues that you guys are, right? Some of the things where there were violations of the housing code, and then there were other things that were not necessarily required by the housing code, but things that, if they were to be addressed, would increase the overall quality of life for the residents. And so what we did, again, I brought an inspector, and it wasn't for the purpose of issuing citations or enforcement. It was more, myself and the inspector and the property management and the head of the Tenants Association to tour the building, and he pointed things out that would be violations, that, hey, when we come back, we will be, issuing a citation for this. And then there were other things that, within his experience, he saw that they could add or change to improve the quality of life. And so in that case, cameras were one of the things, right, that he suggested. He also said, in order to decrease the amount of people, there were people who were smoking in the stairwells, right? That's not a building code violation, but that, he said, okay, well, if you put signs up to say no smoking, then that'll discourage people from smoking, and then you can also enforce that once you do that. So these are small things. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but there are a number of small things that the building management can do to address that. I think that having cameras is a good idea. We can't enforce that and force them to put up cameras, but I know that other buildings have done that in the past. And I know that, actually DC MPD actually has a program that will reimburse property owners if they, put in cameras. Now, I don't know exactly how that works, but that's definitely something that's
Yeah, and
possible.
I believe management also sent out a notice to residents stating that they were adding more cameras in 2026, and they've already added some additional this year.
Right.
So-
That's true. We did get 4 additional cameras. One is here.
I'm not sure about where
had
they
it-
put
we
them,
had it-
but they added extra cameras in the building.
Yeah, there were 4 cameras added. There's one there, and there are 2 in the larger room. Okay. We have one quick question here, and then we're going to back to the front, and so that Nicole can get in, because it's 6:30, we're really running out of time, and she has a lot to share.
Just a quick follow-up on the quality of life sort of suggestions. And again, I'm not sure if this is relevant for you guys as suggestions or things that you can address for the common areas, but basically, there's been a lot of pet waste in the common areas, and I'm a pet owner, so it's not a hate thing.
Right.
I love the pets, but a lot of people are just, it's a sanitation thing. I'm assuming it has probably implications with the vermin outside of the building and things like that. Is there anything that either the building can be asked to do, or maybe the city could do, that could kind of help, whether it's signage, whether it's bags, whether it's something to
Well,
enforce
2 things,
that?
right? So the city can only do so much, right? Like, if we come and there's pet waste all over, then we're gonna issue a citation. That's really our, that's our cudgel, you know what I mean, as it were. But in terms of building management, like signage would be one. Installing the bags with the, in the waste receptacles will be another. Because you're right, if my colleague from Department of Health were here, he would tell you that dog waste does contribute to, like, rats eat dog waste, and so if you have dog waste, then you're kind of bringing the vermin. Obviously, with a building this big, it's almost impossible to totally eliminate any vermin, but there are things that the that residents can do, but then also that building management can do to mitigate that. And so that it would be, in most things I find it's kind of a 2-part thing. It's like the city kind of pushing from one end, it's the tenants and tenant association pushing from the other end, and then the building management being willing to acquiesce and provide those things as a quality of life thing for the residents.
Is it possible that tenants don't know to scoop? Is
That could be, that's plausible. I mean, it's as plausible as someone who smokes not knowing that they can't smoke at the entrance. But if there's a sign saying, hey, you can't smoke within 50 yards of the entrance, then they'll know, then they'll go somewhere else. So that's one of those.
And then those that don't, like you said, they'll be able to enforce it.
Exactly, and it's also enforceable. Once you have to sign up, you can't say that you didn't know. Yeah,
Excuse me, I've been living here since 2019,
yes, ma'am.
and on my floor, the rugs haven't been shampooed since I've been here.
Right.
There are some people that are letting their dogs use the bathroom on the rug. They're not taking them even outside.
And they don't care.
That's
Yeah.
why we
And
need
there's
to
a
have
lot of
them.
line. There are people that don't, I'm not wanting to wait to the, there's nothing they can all do about that.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to know what is the plan to eliminate the roaches that are accumulating in this building?
But yeah, and that's not something that I'm privy to.
Mhm.
I know that in the past, and when Ashlee and Nicole and I have been at other buildings and facilitated a meeting with the Tenants Association and the management, then they were able to, ask that question directly to the building management, and the building management in turn was able to give them, hey, this is our plan, to address this. And really, I think that's the thing that works best, is for them to say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, and then you have an opportunity to say, hey, 4 cameras, that's not doing anything, you know what? And there's an exchange, if you will. So I can't answer that question, but going forward, hopefully we can find out.
So let me share with that, management has given us what they're going to do as far as pest control. Yes, so this is something that I just received 3:52 p.m. today. So it's something that's going to be disseminated out to the group.
Well,
But
I
first
talked
thing
to the
is just
pest control
here.
people, and I told them, if you just, treating several apartments, that's not gonna help their.
Exactly, ma'am. And I
They
would
need
love
to
to
do
speak
a
with you after, because
statewide
let me just
and
let you look at that and you can read that.
Thank you.
Do you want to go ahead and go?
All right, so we're gonna go ahead
Oh,
and move on
I
to
think it's just
Nicole.
one.
All right.
Yeah,
No, it's
do you
just
need a
one,
microphone?
please.
can you all hear me if I
Yes.
speak like this?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I wrote down notes while you were talking, so I didn't forget all the things I want to say. So, first of all, my name is Nicole McEntee. I'm with the Office of the Tenant Advocate, and I'm in the Education and Outreach branch of our office. If you've never heard of us, we're a teeny tiny district agency, only about 20 people. We're not one of the big ones like but what we do is we help advocate for tenants around the city. So we're actually sort of like, you could consider us like a pro bono legal office when it comes to an issue that you have with your landlord. So if you have any sort of dispute with your housing provider, you can call us and talk to one of our attorney advisors for free. It's a free government service. And then we'll be able to help you with that dispute. So we also go out and give trainings. We do classes on how to form tenant associations. My personal goal is to form tenant associations everywhere I can get my hands on in the city. And so those are kind of what we do to help tenants. Earlier it was said that OTA is the authority over tenant associations. That's not exactly true. We're not the authority. We don't have any power over a tenant association, but what we do is we advise and we provide guidance on how could you write your bylaws? How could you negotiate with the landlord? Sometimes we've been a mediator and things like that. So, we're not the authority. We can't tell tenant associations what to do or who's right or who's wrong. But we help guide them as best we can. And we also put them in touch with other tenant associations throughout the city so that they can talk to each other, share, common problems they have and maybe solutions they've come up with. So that's a little bit about what our office does. And also I'll give everybody our phone number. So if you have a personal issue with, your apartment and your landlord, like some personal dispute with your landlord, give us a call. Our number is 202-719-6560. I'll say it one more time, 202-719. Yeah, it's on there too. 6560. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, if you want to hand out the. So going to the housing code issues and the issues with pests especially, everything he said is 100% true. Go to DOB. They are your advocate for this too, because they are the enforcers, right? OTA can tell you what the law says and what your rights are. But DOB are really the enforcers when it comes to the rights under, the district law and the housing code. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you say what your initials mean? You said DOB?
Oh, yes, sorry. So DOB is the Department of Buildings, And OTA, that's where I'm from, is the Office of the Tenant Advocate, so OTA. Yeah, did you have a question?
Can I make a statement about the rodents?
Sure.
Frumin? I happen to be the victim of overgrowth on mice, and in my situation, they came in once, and the people that came in knew less than I did. And truly. And so they put a little trap here, they put a little trap there. Okay, so I go on Amazon and buy about $800,000 worth of traps, anything that was sticky or whatever. It turns out that I then hired my own people to come in, and what they told me was that it was a really very simple fix. And that is that behind your dishwasher and other appliances, there's a big damn hole. That's all it is. So I called them down there and I said, listen, give me some plywood, I'll get a contractor to come in and nail the thing in. No big deal. Okay. Oh, no, okay, Kathy, we'll take care of this. Wrong. So one of the guys came up that I know, who's very nice to me, came up with this plywood and he nailed it in. Trouble was, under the, if I'm facing the sink, the cabinet behind me. Okay, at the bottom of that was a big hole. Behind the convector, in both convectors, were holes. This is such a simple fix, and you don't need $800 worth of traps, because it's the holes where they're coming in. And I had to write a check to have somebody tell me that, but I thought, well, this is great. All you gotta do is have them come up and do whatever. Calling Orkin, calling whoever, and having you have traps. I see 2 mice a day. I'm now leaving the building. But having said that, it has been obscene. I have Oriental rugs that have no fringe. I have other stuff, antiques that have been chewed on, and all it was sealing them up. When I had the guy come up, the new property manager, he said, oh, do you have vermin problems? I said, I've had these for 2 years, why don't you know that? And then he walked away. So all I'm saying is, Orkin, whoever's gonna hire, just get them to seal up your holes. Convectors behind refrigerators, in my case, it was the dishwasher and the stove, they were this big. It was like saying, come on into our apartment. And it's very simple fix. But this whole thing about the trap and the spraying, who can spray? You can't kill them. You just have to be sure they don't come to visit. Simple. So I wanted to share what I know.
Excuse me, they came to my apartment and sealed them holes, but they went through all those vents that aren't being used. They have to open them up. There are holes there too that the man told me those might come through. And in my case, he put pellets in, then he put steel wood, then he put foam over. And I haven't seen one since.
Okay, guys, we're gonna have to
okay.
continue, so Nicole, please continue.
So that's actually a great segue though. So for housing code issues, calling Department of Buildings should be your first step when the landlord is not addressing something. Absolutely call them and have them come out and do their inspections like is happening. But if for some reason you are not satisfied with that process, or maybe the landlord wants to go to the Office of Administrative Hearings to dispute whatever the findings are that the DOB found, right? So there are other solutions as well, and I want to make sure that all tenants are aware of those. So there's 2 I'm going to talk about. One is called Housing Conditions Court. Has anyone ever heard of Housing Conditions Court? You have, okay, yes. Yes. And the other one is the tenant petition process. Has anyone ever done that before at this building? Okay, so I'll talk about both of those. So Housing Conditions Court, or HCC is sometimes what it's called. It's a very special court in DC that they actually sort of created because there were so many issues with housing conditions and it was taking up all of their cases in regular landlord-tenant court. So they created this special court that only meets once a week. I think it's Tuesdays. And it's a very limited scope. So it's one of the few places where tenants can sue a landlord rather than landlords suing a tenant. And the tenant can't sue to like win $1 million for emotional distress. It's not that. But what they can do is they can sue to have a judge order that a landlord makes housing code repairs. So if you're not getting anywhere with enforcing the housing code, this judge at the court will literally order the landlord to do so. And there'll be repercussions if they don't, all the way up to like potential contempt if it even gets that far. So this is a serious process. So the landlord has to show up to this hearing. You have all of your evidence, which might be inspection reports from DOB or pictures or video, whatever you've got. So you make your case, you say, these are all the violations we have. The court will send their own inspector to verify that, and then they'll say, landlord, why haven't you fixed this? You know, what are you waiting on? What's the problem here? And so the landlord has held accountable in this court. So this is one option for tenants who just really sort of get repairs done and have this over with. So if you want filing in this court, you can call our office and we do help with that. We also have like a little tutorial video that kind of explains how to do it on our YouTube page if you want to just do that too. But it's a relatively simple process, and this is a way to sort of get things done quickly. They try to schedule these cases within 30 days of when you first file. So that is Housing Conditions Court. The second option is the tenant, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to say too, this is very important because you left this off. I worked with you before.
That's right, yeah, I remember you.
At Paul Lawrence Dunbar.
Yeah, Ms. Richmond, yeah.
Of the Tenant Association there. One important thing in that court that she's talking about, you can sue for retribution to up to $10,000. So keep that in mind too.
And small claims, you can do that as well, yeah.
In the housing court, that's what I've done. I've done it twice.
Right.
And have won my case.
Right. So that's one option for everybody. The second option is called the tenant petition process. And this is something that rent-controlled buildings can do. Now, this will not get housing violations repaired, right? This does not enforce that repairs are made. But what this does is you can actually challenge a landlord's rent increase, but only in rent-controlled apartments, if there are substantial violations of the housing code. So if you're about to face an increase and you say, wait a minute, I have all these mice in my apartment, you can use this tenant petition process to challenge that rent increase and say, you can't increase my rents until you fix all of these issues. So it doesn't, enforce the housing code, but the landlord sure has an incentive to make those changes because they want your rent increase, right? So this is again something for rent-controlled buildings. And you actually send this tenant petition to the Rental Accommodations Division, or RAD, R-A-D. And that's housed within the Department of Housing and Community Development, or DHCD. So again, if you need instructions on how to do that, our office can also help with that. They recently changed it to an online-only process. It used to be you would fill out a paper form, but they got rid of that this past summer, so now it is online only. But it's a relatively painless process. You kind of just go to the website and fill it, like type up what the issue is, and then they'll come back to you in a week or two for more information. So that's the tenant petition process.
And the RAD office is very small too. They
Yeah,
have a
that's
small
true.
team, and so they do not respond right away.
Yes,
But they will respond.
That's right. And this is, again, only available for rent-controlled building rent increases. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Rickman.
I would like to also include how important it is to be a certified tenant association, because when you go to the petition court, you need to have a petition signed by, I think it's 50% or plus one of the percentage of people that's located in that building.
So that's if you're doing it as a group. So you can file the tenant petition to challenge a rent increase either collectively or individually. So you can, if you're facing a personal rent increase and personal issues, you can do it individually. But if you wanted to do it collectively as a tenant association, you can do that as well. So sort of two options there. So that's the tenant, what else was I gonna say? So the right to repairs. Tenants have the right to have repairs made in their units. That's a protected tenant right. So you should not face any retaliation for requesting that the landlord makes repairs, for contacting DOB or Ashlee or me or any district agency or official requesting repairs. Those are all protected tenant rights. And so if you think you're facing any kind of retaliation for something like that, call our office. You could also call OAG. So either one of us would be able to help you with that. OAG stands for the office, the DC Office of the Attorney General. Don't call the federal one. Yes.
How about, since we're on camera, the building and the manager know who's attending this meeting? How about some retribution from them for this.
Yeah, so again, this is a protected tenant right. So joining a tenant association or attending meetings or putting up flyers, those are all protected tenant rights. And the actual statute, it's called the Tenant Right to Organize Statute. So if you look up that law, it says these are all protected activities. The landlord could face significant fines if they're found to be violating tenants' protected rights here.
One last thing, and then I'm gonna keep my mouth closed. The tenants should be provided by the management a copy of the tenant's Bill of Rights. And it says that you are entitled to a clean, safe, secure, environment.
Yes.
Living environment.
Yes.
Would you have copies tonight?
Ashley
I
brought copies.
You're welcome.
But you're absolutely right. The landlord is supposed to be providing that to tenants when they sign their lease. Now, in reality, do they do that every time? Probably not. But they are supposed to be doing that. It's written into the law that that's a requirement. And if you don't have a copy, we have copies here, and they're also available on our website, the OTA website.
Yeah, I don't know if I bring it all.
Yeah, we got it. What else was I gonna say? Oh, okay, I was gonna say, somebody mentioned the DC rat czar, I guess is what he's called. His name is Gerard Brown, and he works for the Department of Health, and he's known around the district as like the rat guy, like he's the expert on rats. So there's like a webinar that he is sort of co-hosting with the DC Healthy Homes Coalition. It's on December 2nd. So if you are interested in listening to this webinar where he gives you tips and tricks about how to get rid of rats, let me know or let Carlos know, and we can get you the link for that to sign you up for that. It's December 2nd. I want to say it was at noon, but I might be misremembering. And I think that's basically what I've got. So I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any. Yeah.
Do you have any card or information on your organization that we can take with us?
Well, it's like plastered all over our documents over there, but I can give you like
I
my.
also have this too. I printed this out, Nicole.
Oh, oh, perfect, yeah. Wow, you
English
brought even
is-
more than me, okay. Yeah, that's perfect. So
I
that's
have
got
two here.
That's got our phone number on it, and we're also, if you wanna go downtown and find us, we're at 899 North Capitol now. We used to be, at the Reeve Center, and now since they're renovating that building, we've moved, so we're near Union Station if you wanna come see us in person. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, when you first moved in this building, right? Because when I first came here, Miss Joanne, me and her had, she's like, because I had a voucher, I got a voucher. And she's like, we don't take vouchers. And I want to know, as being a voucher holder, you can't discriminate me, can you?
That's correct. She should not have said that. That statement right there is discrimination. So in the district, no landlord can deny a tenant because they use a voucher as a source of income. Source of income is a protected class in the district when it comes to housing. And so if a landlord says, we don't take vouchers, that is discrimination. You could actually go to the Office of Human Rights in DC and say the landlord has discriminated against me. That's a pretty open shut case if they,
And another thing she done, can you, like, if by you saying, I don't know what she is, Miss Joanne, but since I've been here, who is she? I mean.
She's a leasing manager.
Well, can she just talk to me like, well, I want to say I don't know how to come out and say it because people might think I'm being racist because it's something about what I want to say. And because it's like when I come in there and she see another person knock my collar, she treat them better than she treat me. Guess I've been going through that since I've been in here. So, and when that incident happened to me when I got sexual assaulted, what you come down here and tell me for? Did you go and press charges on them? Since I've been sitting right here, y'all, this person that sexual assaulted me, he walked past. I just seen him. That's why I kept turning my head, because I just seen him go in the elevator. And I walk around, because I do advocate for myself. I did report everything, and I got court papers and everything, and this person's still in this building. And I want to know, why don't they have like make you go do what you call that thing when now what you call that thing when you please somebody help me.
A background check?
Yeah, that.
Oh.
A background check for people that got these vouchers like me, because I had to do a background check. And I didn't know I was gonna move in this. I never in my life got sexual assaulted in an apartment building. And I came to this building thinking that this is a good building. I just been here I didn't even been here that long. And this man sexual assaulted me. And I'm having nightmares. And I see this man every day, but I wanna know why they can't do nothing about him, why they can't put him out.
Let me jump in. So when Councilmember Frumin was here in July, he talked about the rental act and some things that were in the motion of becoming law. That did become law. And so with that, the landlord has new tools that they can use, except it recently became law and it has to go through a hearing process. So not until January, I believe, can it be acted upon to remove such a person that has been found guilty of criminal conduct.
I'm about to tell you something. I've been shutting down, y'all. This is my second time coming down here. I have not been down here since I've been sexually assaulted over in that corner. I don't come down here. I don't come down here because I feel very uncomfortable. I just come down here because people down here. But other than that, I stay stuck in my house because I don't feel safe. And when I come out, I'm coming out with something in my hand. I don't feel safe in this building. And my daughter told me to move, but I'm not going to let this nigga, I'm not going to let this person make me move. I see him every day, and I pray on it. And I just feel like, I just hope something happen because I see him every day. I see this man that sexually assault me every day. I'm scared to go in the laundry room. I don't wash my clothes in this building. I wash my clothes in my bathtub because I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe in that laundry room because he lived right there by the laundry room. So why would I go down there?
So I would probably recommend that you talk with one of our attorney advisors tomorrow. Because if you give our office a call and talk to one of our attorneys, they'll probably be able to tell you what your options are. Even if you don't want to move, but they'll be able to tell you how to either put pressure on the landlord to get him to leave or what your options are. Yeah, so I would say if you give us a call tomorrow and talk to you, because this could be on me, you know,
I called
this is
the
an
police,
attorney
but he said, he told me it's my fault. He tells me all the time it's my fault.
Who said that? Who said it's your fault? What do you mean?
That's what one of the people said to me.
So let me just clarify here. This is April the 25th of this year, 8 p.m. On the other side, as she did say, she was victim number 1. There was a victim number 2, and I was number 3, physically assaulted. Number 2 was physically assaulted. She was sexually assaulted. The person was arrested and incarcerated. That person pled guilty. The judge let him come back here saying that there were enough things in place to where he could live here under guidelines.
Oh, no, they don't have.
Until the law is changed and management then can do something about it. But at this point,
Why did the judge have such discretion?
Well, yeah, but this goes a little bit beyond OTA.
Yeah. I would say, and not to that, and I can't speak for that particular thing, but I did think of something, as Nicole was talking, and I just want to reiterate, if you have an issue, and we're having the building-wide inspection shortly, but if you have an issue, something that you even suspect is a violation of the housing code, I would encourage you to contact us. You can contact us via 311, the citywide call center, and tell them that you want to request an inspection. You can also go to our website, which is dob.dc.gov, and right on the homepage, you can say, I want to request a housing inspection, and the form will kind of lead you through to it, to schedule that inspection. But I'm saying that because a lot of times, and we've been to buildings before where something happens, and then we go and we look in our system and we don't see any inspection requests. So even though the tenants might say, hey, this is egregious, these things are happening, but then we look in our system and no one's requested us to come and inspect the property. And so one of the things that happens is the more requests you make and the more times we come and inspect, if there, and I'm not saying that that's true of this building, but if there is a case where we have to escalate this to OAG or increased enforcement, then we have evidence to say, hey, they've been complaining about this thing for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, and we have this many complaints that haven't been abated. And what made me think of that is in past forums like this, when MPD has been there, they've said the same thing, that if there's an issue, to call 911. And it's not, and sometimes people think that, oh, if I call the police, this isn't a big, I mean, not saying that yours wasn't a big deal, but sometimes people think, oh, okay, well, I don't want to call 911 because maybe this is emergency. It's not. But likewise, just like DOB, if you call every time, then they have a record to say, hey, this is a reoccurring problem here, and so we need to either put more resources there, or something else can occur. And like Carlos said, it also gives the building management tools to say, hey, this person's been called this many times. We need to do something to get them out of here. So I'm sorry that happened to you. But I thought of that, and it's kind of related to a DOB issue, and so I wanted to say that.
Can I just piggyback on what he's, go ahead.
So, because usually if you have a problem, the first person you're thinking of calling is a building.
Right.
You don't think of calling DOB.
Right.
So is there a way to find a record of all the calls that have been made to the building?
First call should be to the police.
Yeah. So I can.
The building only has
Or
so
the
much.
complaints?
So this is what. So we want you to call the building first, right? If you have a problem and it's a housing code issue, your first call should be to the building. Your second call, and if they don't address it, then your second call should be to DOB to say, hey, I asked them to fix this. This hasn't been fixed. We want DOB to come and inspect. And yes, to your question, there is a way, and I can't provide the specific details because, I couldn't provide you with Ashlee's, the things that are going on in Ashlee's unit. But I can provide for Ashlee the number of inspections that we perform. And then there's also a lot of that information is on our website and accessible to the public to say, oh, okay, well, 4,000 Ms, they had this many violations and they owe,
Only like 4.
Can I say something?
right.
So if I can, please, I want to share. So
There are other buildings that have 100.
Oh my God.
So
Maybe
this is very
Very
important.
important.
So in terms of us getting some collective action here, it's not gonna happen unless more people are doing what he's saying.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to.
I tried talking with the Office of Attorney General. There's flyers over there that they've sent. You can pick up if you need to contact them. But they said, Mr. Morales, yours is the only one that we see in the system.
Right.
We don't see any other complaints, so we can't get involved.
Yeah.
The way agencies in DC are set up, they cannot help you unless there's a big enough stack of complaints.
But for you to know to complain, you have to know to be able to complain.
That's why we're here telling you.
If you don't
So
know.
now that you know, you're empowered to
Right,
do.
but I am. They are.
And you tell
Right,
everyone else.
so we
You
have
tell
a
your
tenant
neighbors.
association
Right.
here
You spread the word.
that wasn't spreading the word, and now we have another one that is spreading the word. We need to spread the word, because unless enough people contact DOB with this initiative that we have going on, nothing is gonna change.
And you're right.
Something posted in the laundry room, because a lot of these people are not online.
Well, every time I have something to post, they tear it down. So we can't rely on that.
I've heard of that too. I've
Okay.
heard them turn.
So, guys, you gotta understand, this is like Alice in Wonderland. Things that make common sense, it's not happening here.
You're right.
There are deceptive things that are happening where the landlord is floating just below the law. So you can complain and you can complain and nothing's gonna happen unless it's a collective. When I had my suit filed in December, from December through March, I tried and called over 100 attorneys. And the majority of them wanted to know, what is the tenant association saying? Oh, they're not talking to me. They won't,
So is the tenant association represented here today?
I'm on it. That's why I want to say something. Since I've been here, I ain't, see this, I mean, cause I'm about to get off of it, because since I've been here, I've been on this tenant association, I've been sexual assault, I've been talking about it, and I ain't seen nothing done, because the person that did this to me, I walk past him every day. I keep my junk on me at all times, because he creep up on me sometimes, and I be scared, and I don't feel safe. So when I see certain men, like from off the tenant association, they see me, Eleanor, you okay? Like, if I see a Muslim sister, they pull me and talk to me. I see a lot of people, you okay? I was sexually assaulted. I don't want another sister to get hurt like me. Cause that's a messed up feeling. I'm sitting in that corner over there, this nigga pushed me. He pushed me. Since I've been I'm sitting here having flashbacks. He pushed me in that damn corner and pulled my shirt up, started fondling with me, put his head down between my plants. And he touched me.
I'm sorry.
And it's like sitting down, he's bringing back flashbacks. And I'm sitting here, this nigga walked across, he just came off the
Ms.
elevator.
Travelfield, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I understand.
I'm pissed
I
off.
understand. We have guests here tonight that are here to help
I'm
everybody.
pissed off.
We understand.
Yeah, they should be here at every meeting, the tenant association. Where's the president? They're not here.
She's a part of the tenant association.
Where is the president?
Where
No,
are the
that's a part of
minutes?
it.
Why can't people be responsible?
So guys, this is a building issue. Part of the issue is getting all of the tenants to be silent.
Okay.
Fear of retaliation, fear of coming together.
All right.
When have we had group meetings to come together to talk? None since we were here in July.
Okay, so like Ms. Nicole said, if we definitely encourage you to reach out to OTA to talk to their attorneys to see if and how they can assist you with moving forward, living here or wherever else or
Whatever the solution.
whatever the solution may be. We don't know, but we want to make sure you get a solution. So please call OTA. You have the number. Please call them ASAP. Okay.
Yeah, cause I want something to be done about Miss Joanne too,
All right.
as well.
Does anyone have any other questions for Jason?
I have one. The
or for Nicole?
building-wide, inspection, does that mean they're gonna go to each apartment to
Yes.
inspect?
Yes, we discussed
When
that.
will this take place?
It's supposed to be happening between December 2nd and February 2nd. Sorry, Jason.
No.
And yes, they're gonna aim to do 100% of the units, but everyone has to give consent. So if you don't give consent, your unit will not be touched.
So they will be sending out notifications?
Yes.
Okay.
Will a staff
Through the
person-
management office or other way?
Through the management
The
office.
management
Okay, we may not see it.
You will.
will a staff person accompany these
Oh,
people?
my goodness.
We're gonna have to.
Will a staff person accompany DOB? Yes. From my understanding, yes, right?
You said what?
Will someone from the building will be accompanying DOB through the inspection?
Yeah, but not necessarily every unit. But yeah, they have to accompany the inspectors because for those units where we don't have access, of course, they have to be there to let us in. Yeah.
Oh, and can I say one more thing? Sorry, I guess I can just say. I forgot to mention this. So, by the way, for notice of entry in an apartment, a landlord is supposed to give you 48 hours written notice before they enter the apartment, unless you agree to something sooner. So if you say, can you come today to fix my sink, that's fine. But otherwise, if they're gonna be entering and they're telling you, hey, we're coming, they have to give you 48 hours notice in writing. So just keep that in mind.
And you have a right to refuse.
Yeah, you have a right to refuse, but I would say you generally want to be inspected. I would highly recommend that you let them in for this inspection.
I would highly recommend it too.
And so a caveat to that, if you filed a DOB inspection and they have issued a notice of infraction, you cannot, you can't deny them. You have to let them in. Right? The landlord in to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you,
To do the
yeah.
Right.
So, and believe it or not, that happens.
Yeah, that's a big problem in this building also, from what we've heard, and not from you guys in particular, but there are people that do not let the building maintenance in to make the repairs, whether it be organ to treat for rodents or mice, roaches, they're not letting them in, so then in turn that affects other apartments surrounding that apartment, right? So everyone has to let them in so that they can do the maintenance necessary so that everyone lives happily. Any other questions?
Well, when I moved here in 2019, we didn't have roaches. This started in late 2024.
You're welcome, thank you for
Up
coming.
until that time, there were no roaches in the building. So I'm wondering, how are they
I don't
looking
know,
at
but
the
it seems
people
like,
they're moving in here?
it seems like though that they realize that there's a problem. They changed the service provider. Orkin is now coming twice a week. You can call and ask for additional services if you need to. They're trying to their best.
But
from
if
what
they
my
don't treat
understanding.
this entire building, the roaches are just gonna go from this apartment to that one to that one. I had to throw away my toaster. There was so many of them coming in there into my toaster.
That's why we
And I
encourage
never
everybody
had
to
that
let.
problem
Right.
until late 2024.
Well, that's why we're having a building-wide inspection, and once they
Okay.
come in and they see roaches everywhere, then they're gonna have to treat everywhere. So, again, let's just spread the word to your tenants or to your neighbors, let them know that they're gonna be sending out a consent form, they need to encourage them to sign it, to have DOB come in and inspect, and even if they're not able to do that, report whatever issues they have to DOB that aren't being, fixed by the landlord, okay?
And guys, keep in mind that these representatives are here to help us tonight because of the voice of July. Councilwoman heard that, and they started working. As he said, yes, she deserves a lot of applause because she's worked very hard for this building to bring about this inspection building-wide. That, I don't know how the communication went with the landlord, but they're not happy about that. They're not happy about that. They say we've started a new company, but they're doing the same thing with Orkin.
Right.
There's no detailed plan for floor to floor or how you're gonna treat the nest unit if they refuse. I have people beside me that was identified since November 2024 as a nest that have not been treated. So what does that mean? They're going to me, they're going above me, they're going everywhere. So there needs to be a building-wide plan. Part of what this tenant association too is requesting from the attorneys is a plan of action from Orkin in terms of how the building treatment plan is gonna work to eradicate. Because for 12 months, I've been filming roaches when the law says I shouldn't have to live with roaches. Okay?
Is there any ramification for the landlord to evict this person with the nest if they're denying access to the apartment?
That's a question.
From what, the councilman and I met with, the property management last week, I think. And we talked about the roach issue, and they said, they told us about Orchid, and they also talked about one unit in particular that I guess was above the leasing office. That person has since moved out, and so they've been able to now vigorously treat that unit. And so in hopes that I guess it will stop whatever is going on from that one unit, because at first they weren't able to treat it. So what they're doing though is, when they
So
can't access,
9th floor
when
and
they can't,
15th floor.
when they can't access the unit, they said that they go up, over, and down. They treat all units around that one unit to try to hit it hard. That's their approach. That's what they
The law
propose.
said it was mandatory.
The
That's what I don't
treatment.
understand, that's.
I don't know about being mandatory.
I'm
If
not
the
totally
landlord
sure.
is trying to eradicate roaches, I thought the landlord then can require, when they sent out the notice November 2024, it said it was a mandatory thing and no one could refuse.
Right, isn't that an actionable eviction?
I'd have to ask
Well,
the
and so
attorney.
yes, there's also a
Yeah.
process though with evictions, like, you know, it's a big process,
It's
and
a
I know
long-
there's, you know, I know they did stuff with the rental act and all of that, but there's still the federal side of things, and with no judges and all that, the evictions come to a halt, like,
And it's-
there's nobody to evict them.
Yeah, I can just tell you, it's difficult, even though something may be mandatory, if you come and knock on my door and I say you can't come in, then there's really no one, unless I've committed a crime, there's really no one who can like make you open the door and allow someone to come in. It's a very,
And that's,
you know, I mean, Nicole know more than I do, but I've been with the DOB when we've had, you know, not in this building, but it's just with like squatters and, you know, and it's very difficult to you know what I mean? Like people who are like hoarders and whatnot, and they're trying to get them out, but that's a very delicate situation because people have, you know, rights, you know, and so unless you're doing something that's going to harm yourself or others, or you're committing a crime,
Well, it's a public health
it's
issue.
yeah. But then you have to get in to see it to prove that, right?
You
So
know,
it's,
you keep saying, excuse me, you
yes,
keep
ma'am.
saying it's their rights and all of that. What about the rights of the people who have to
It's
live?
a delicate
with these
balance.
people?
It's a delicate
I mean, I
balance.
don't understand that.
It is a
Yeah.
delicate balance.
He's not saying that you don't have rights.
Hoarders have
Yeah.
rights in
Everybody
DC.
has rights.
Hoarders have rights.
We should have
So the
rights.
landlord
You do.
can only
But why
do
is it
certain
still
things
affected
with
by it?
apartments
That
here
doesn't make
with
sense.
identified hoarders.
And it's a process. It's a process. We have in the past worked with OAG, with DLB, with, you know, the property management to, you know, be able to get hoarders out of the building, but it takes, you know, court filings and OTA and DLB and a lot of different moving parts to make that happen. I just wanted to kind of interject that, like it's more than just, you know, knocking on the door and saying, hey, you got to do this, because some people are difficult.
Excuse me, what is considered a hoarder?
That lady, this lady.
Can you explain that to me?
Yes, ma'am.
It's the
What
law.
happens
What is
law.
considered
when
a
there's
hoarder?
a place that has bugs and they go in and totally
Okay.
spray
It's a
it,
protection.
they come out and they go.
They move to the next place.
Yeah.
Right,
That's because
right.
the baseboards, around the baseboards, and like the lady was saying, what was the lady who had the problems with mice or rats?
Mhm.
What they need to do is look at the HVAC systems underneath, behind those, not just only the dishwasher and those appliances in the kitchen, but also in our bedroom. And I just moved here in December the 17th of last year. I never saw any mice or any rats. Here about 2 weeks ago, I'm in my bed and I saw this flash. It happens to be, and I thought it was the TV at first, and I turned the light on. There was this big rat. The thing was a rat. This was not a field mouse. I'm from Arkansas, and I know the difference between a mouse and a rat. You know,
What floor are
this
you
was a
on
rat. Huh?
What floor are you
I'm
on?
not gonna say, you know, I'm not going to say, but I'm saying what needs to happen is part of the plan. The corrective action plan, management should, what they should do in part of their plan is go around the baseboards, go behind the HVAC systems where the rats and mice come from. You kind of know, I took my flashlight and I could see cracks.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, mice, that should be part of one of the inspections.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so can I, yeah,
Check behind those two HVAC systems, the dishwasher, and also the stove.
Yes, ma'am.
so I want to chime in here, and I guess I have three things, or a couple things three things I want to say. The first one is, like, I'm going to need to go, and the other folks, the other government officials are going to need to go. But on this point about some of the structural things that may raise issues around the mice and rats and roaches, I think that the Department of Buildings has heard that, and your antenna should be up about looking for holes and things like that. And the HVAC system as one of the things to look at in the inspection process, and that inspection process is coming. The other thing, another theme that's come up is where there might be a very problematic tenant, and there needs to be an effort to get that person out of the building. And I totally hear you. This is a thing that it's not just this building. We had somebody who's been threatened by another tenant for a long time and was assaulted by that tenant a week or so back, and you know, we cannot have that kind of thing happen. I think the thing that folks have said is the eviction system, including even in that setting, is not working in the way that it needs to work. And there are efforts to turn that so that in a setting where one tenant is creating a safety issue for another tenant, we're trying to make it easier and impose a burden on the landlord to act in those settings. You still also have the challenge that Ashlee referred to of the courts and the shortage of judges and the length of times things take. There is a balance, but the balance is not where you have a law-abiding tenant being threatened by somebody who's violating their lease. That balance of rights, we have to protect the law-abiding tenant. We are trying to do that. I don't want to pretend that it's worked. There's a lot of reasons why it hasn't worked to now, but there is an increasing effort to try to address that. I guess the last thing that I'll say, and then I need to go, and Ashlee's got to go to work for me tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and she's got to go too.
And I got a new dog.
So, but just to finish,
I want to thank you.
Okay.
Okay, on behalf of the senior citizens here who take the bus, the 90, they have restored the bus stop back. They had taken it away when they made the bus changes. So they brought it back thanks to you and Ashlee.
So we're trying. I want to close it out so folks can go. Another theme. All resolved. There's a lot of feelings out there.
Guys, Councilmember Frumin has a updated flyer over here. I mean, a handout. If you'd like a copy, you can grab that. Can you give a big hand of applause for all of our guests tonight? Thank you all so much very much. I appreciate it. I'm gonna be in touch with you to give you some details about this building block thing. And I already forwarded you one thing, the thing that you'd asked about, which is their plan, which is not a plan. It's a just.
Ever mentioned the very first thing that is so logical that